what we've seen in the early part of this demonstration is some of the failings in perhaps the older chainsaws, which this is, though it looks quite up to date, is, as I expressed earlier, was the guard there that really prevents one to get the foot through on the guard properly to be able to get a straight pull for the chain. Ideally, you'd want to be able to have enough pressure so as to apply and pull the cord. But what is also important to maintain on these chainsaws is when they're in the stop position, we have air filters in which we need to keep clean. Here's our air filter to keep the air filter clean so that we can have easy operation. If the thing fails to start, it's either because you've flooded the chainsaw or it's because this is blocked. If you've done plenty of work on it, you will find that it'll probably be a blocked air filter. When you've finished operating a chainsaw, it's important to consider that before you refuel, that what you have is a very hot exhaust and motor to allow the chainsaw to cool down for a little period of time. So before you fill up with oil and fuel, these are points of ignition that could occur. One would find more in the summertime than in the winter because the ignition point becomes closer. But what it is important to keep into consideration is when you are finished with a chainsaw at the end of each session, the chainsaw is in the off position. You will loosen these nuts and you will loosen the chain, because what's happened is while you've been functioning and using the chainsaw, the chain has got bolted through its operation, and the metal has expanded and it's under tension, so when it cools down it'll create extra pressure on the bar and on the chain. Things to also look for is regular maintenance. When one has, as these are an item that require a great deal of maintenance, not necessarily a great deal of service effort, but maintenance, one needs to sharpen the blades fairly regularly. You can either send them off to be sent off to a professional to sharpen the blades, or you can buy files, which I have found easiest when the chainsaw is actually on the chain. So you can then operate and sharpen the blades by running the file this side for each one of these, and then you turn around, you come back on the chain on the opposite ones that you weren't able to do before, and they give you the angle by which to flow, very much like a carpenter's chisel. It gives you the angle. You must also at all times give after every use, or if you've been using for a long session, you'll notice that there is build-up of rubbish, timber and grease and oil that is built up, and you need to maintain that this cog is in good order. This one's been just recently replaced because it was starting to get grooves set into it because of usage. And you'll notice here there's a little eye there that provides the oil to the bar. That needs to be regularly kept clean and maintained, otherwise the bar will overheat, causing the chain to fall off the bar, hence also creating danger to oneself. When installing and getting ready to use these, this engages in this fashion. The cover goes back on. It acts as a clamp on this part of the bar. These little nuts will then come up to that'll vary from brand to brand of chainsaw. that I've got these basically up finger tight. Now, what we didn't show in the earlier part of this video was the fact that this chain had been tensioned. If you notice now that it's reached a certain tension that is quite loose, you will key that so that the operation of the chain just comes, see it's still too loose, you tension that up so that it's just snug. A little bit more. And then you can proceed by, if you notice with my left hand I'm pitching the bar up. There's a little bit of slack in these bars. By pulling it up, that puts a bit of added tension on the chain, and then you can proceed to tension these nuts up to a fair rate of tension prior to trying to start your chainsaw. This chainsaw is now ready for operation again. Would we like to have another go just to conclude and to assess that we have an understanding? So just in summary, we have our primer, we have it in the stop position, we have our easy start to make it a little bit easier for pulling on the cord, and we will put it on possibly a warm setting because it's already been up and running. We will set it up over here, and I'll stand back out of the way. The blade is clear of the ground, and prepare for one fresh pull start on the cord. No, you're right. You're right. And now you should be able to do one full start. Now, we talked about what is a safe environment in which to demonstrate our video. We've endeavoured to take as much as we can into consideration. There is, in relation to using electrical and petrol operated tools, there's an age that ones of from 16 onwards are able to use mechanical devices, but not earlier. So we're grateful for Haley's cooperation and demonstration. We noticed that Hale stumbled. That may have been uneven surface, and that demonstrates a failing on my part in the demonstration that we've created a setting that is open and as logical as we can make it, but can't account for every factor. But we do have our steel cap boots on and our clogging device. So in conclusion, that would be how to operate a chainsaw, and hopefully we can work on that and expand on that in the future. Thank you for your help, Haley. Prior to starting, it requires a bit of strength to prime the chainsaw. We can prime it with this. Usually they say in the instructions it only needs 3 primes. This chainsaw has been running prior to, and here is for an easy start, which unfortunately just a few moments ago we did not engage. I've engaged the easy start. We are now down at all the way down to the bottom setting as the chainsaw has cooled down a little bit. We will enable Hale to be comfortable that the chain is not going to be in contact with any ground, rocks, or any tree roots. And we should start now. Okay, and now we'll go one click up. So that was the sound we were listening for. We will re-engage the easy start. One straight pull. Demonstrate the start. That'll disengage the motor. What we've learned from the demonstration today is that we have to be prepared. Not everybody has the same expectation of what it'll take to pull the cord to get these chainsaws to run straight away. Two, these were often designed, they have a guard there to protect the hand, but it's not been made very easy for the modern steel cap boot to fit through, thereby making it harder for leverage and attaining the ability to put pressure down to gain the strength to pull on the chain. We've also discovered in the past that this visor creates a confined space. In certain settings, it allows fumes to drift up and to be contained inside there, thereby creating asphyxia. So these are things that we have to keep in consideration while we're using these machines, that we apply them in their right setting. And there are many other examples of what we need to do and how to go about it, in example for felling trees, as opposed to just cutting off portions of timber. And I'd like to thank you for the privilege of being able to give this demonstration today.